Hello everyone, Travis here, and welcome back to the channel. We are in the world of Open Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 today. It is Theme Park Thursday, my favorite day of the week, and we are back in the Mega Park. Let's go ahead and dive right in. I'm gonna poke around a little bit here at first, and then we will move into a time lapse a little bit later. I will, of course, timestamp that on the screen here for you. Anyway, I don't know why I did that with my hands, but whatever. Okay, so yeah. Um, Obviously, not a lot has changed here, but I'm thinking we might work on the parking lot, at least at first. We need to get a lot of the backstage or like the environment kind of items worked on first. And, or, now, I mean, because the actual park itself is really, I mean, just mostly a matter of those last minute details. Last time we put this sort of train thing in, and we're obviously going to continue to work on that. The Alpine area needs tons and tons of work, as does this like industrial area still, this kiddie area, and the hotel resort kind of area, and that's pretty much it. The water park needs a few tweaks, but yeah, so it's a lot of environmental, a lot of backstage, a lot of like finishing detail type stuff now, and hopefully, like, as the goal is, we can finish this by the end of the year or early 2021, because I definitely need to get this project done and over with after 4+ years, or however it's long, or however long it's been. Geez, if I could speak. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and leave it at that. We'll move into a time lapse, and I hope you all enjoy. All right, we are back, and we are time-lapsing this parking lot. It ends up being a little bit of a shorter episode for you all today. I think it's maybe just under 12 minutes. But I noticed that when I was placing the cars for this parking lot that it took a lot more time than I was expecting. And when I finished this section of the park, I didn't really feel like I wanted to move on to something else, and end up with a really extended, video or whatever. So, sorry about that. Just a parking lot and some foliage work today. But, just be advised that in episodes coming up, it's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff. We don't have a whole lot of rides and stuff left to do. There are a couple, and things will be modified and changed as we go along and stuff too. So there will be work with rides, but in general, we're at that stage of just finishing up all of the extra little detail-y kind of stuff, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because the project is coming close to an end, but it's a bad thing because it makes for some kind of not so exciting videos. I personally like that kind of stuff, though. When I'm watching time lapses, I look to see what kinds of little detailing things that other people do. I always find it really interesting how we all get the same pieces in this game, and kind of more or less have the same grid system to work with and all that stuff, and yet our experiences and our creativity and our own kind of interpretation of how things should look really creeps in, and everyone almost instantly has their own kind of style, unless they're copying someone else. But even then, it's not easy to do that in a way that doesn't change things even slightly, because you never know what's going on inside someone's head when they're creating something. I know a lot of people who use reference images, and I do that sometimes, but not nearly as much. Like, I know some people who literally every building they build is based on a reference image or has some sort of stylistic component that they've drawn from Google Images or real life experiences or whatever. But me, I mean, and a lot of people I know, we just kind of improv. We make it up as we go along, and sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't, and you end up with some crap buildings sometimes, but then you also end up with some real masterpieces that you weren't expecting. So it's just one of those things where the process of it is kind of refreshing, kind of cool. So I'm getting ready to place the cars here in a second. The cars, these are custom like scenery pieces that I found just kind of digging around and whatever. They're not the greatest like I don't know, visually compared to some of the other textures in the game. But I just decided I'm going to go with these. It's going to be too much work to try to figure out how to come up with something better than that. And, so for me, it just seems like you can suspend your disbelief a little bit if you're not keen on the textures. It's mostly just for show. Obviously, like I'm not even going to have the guests have access to this area, because then they're already getting lost as it is. You'll see it flash up on the screen every once in a while throughout the time lapse. But the only thing that's annoying is by using path like this for the parking lot, the security guards and the handymen and stuff will come out over here and, just hang out for whatever reason. Like the security guard is, securing the parking lot or whatever, which I guess that could be part of the immersion of the story of the park. But, at the same time, it's like you could be out like where the guests are or in where the guests are and actually enforcing policies and rules or what policies and rules, like as if it's that like legit of a game. But anyway, so that's kind of one of just one of the quirks of having path like this. The other option would be for me to use like path covers. They have like scenery pieces that you can use for paths. The thing about those that are kind of annoying is that you have to lower the terrain underneath them to get them to place, because they have to sit right flush with the terrain. And so they technically sit on a height marker 1 lower than the terrain. So you have to remove part of the terrain, or I mean lower part of the terrain on each tile to get it to place. And so it takes a lot more work to do that. And yes, you can make it look better because like you have the ability to put stripes and all that stuff, although I guess I could probably do that on the path as well. But and see, I'm doing a lot of stuff with the tile inspector and the cars, and like reordering the objects so that the cars are visual or like visible, because you have to put them above, or I guess below the path in the order or something, in order for them to show up. Otherwise, the path will go on top of them, as you can see right now when I'm placing these. So that's one of the tricks that you can use the tile inspector for, is to reorder objects so that it'll look normal like that. I could have also deleted the path underneath the cars and put it back, and I think that would have done the same thing. So I wouldn't have had to gone into the tile inspector, but it's a tool that I like to practice using because it's a little bit hard to use sometimes. So the more practice I can get with it, the like less rusty I'll get with it, if that makes any sense. But this is more or less the layout of the parking lot now. Like I mentioned in previous episodes, this is more of like a VIP parking lot. It's obviously too small to be like the main parking lot for a park this size. So, these are all people who paid extra, or, maybe they're disabled or something that gives them access to this parking lot. I don't know that this would be where the employees park, because usually in theme parks and stuff, the employees kind of park far away because they want the upfront parking kind of reserved for their elite guests or whatever. So yeah. And then, but obviously the bigger parking lot would be off the map. There's also going to be parking. Well, there is parking lots already, but I'm going to do the parking lot similarly over by the hotel system, or like the resort area where the hotel is. And I'm expanding that area as well. And it's going to be kind of like a full-on resort area. And that will be in a future episode. I might do some of that off camera just because I know like there's still so much of that like detailing stuff to do, and I don't want necessarily like to bore you all with that kind of stuff. If you actually like that stuff, comment down below and let me know, like, hey, no, don't do anything off camera, show me everything. And of course I can't promise that I won't do anything off camera, but if I know more people want to see more of this kind of stuff, then I'll be less inclined to do that. But yeah, so we're just continuing on. Now we're moving on to some foliage, or we're about to, and I'm trying to keep the foliage kind of low lying here in the front of the park, or this parking lot, because in my mind I feel like we'd have a like flat open area, because obviously this is going to attach to the main parking lot, most likely, so there wouldn't be a whole lot of foliage in between the two, realistically speaking. And then in the other areas around that, or the exterior, kind of the perimeter of the park, I'm putting denser foliage. And the foliage is something that I've talked about in former episodes as well. I'm not trying to be real, like detailed and realistic and like expert mode with it. I'm just trying to fill in space. That's how I started out with the foliage in this park, and a lot of the foliage was done before I got to the point where I was, decent with foliage, and I'm still pretty terrible with it, to be fair, but I know how to do it right. I'm just really lazy. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So you might look at the foliage and think it's the ugliest foliage you've ever seen and whatever, and I apologize for that. I know some of you are real, like, experienced, elite players and whatever. Then again, those kind of players probably don't watch my videos anyway, so, whatever. But for the vast majority of you, this is probably just fine. I also think that empty space is okay. Like, we get so caught up in trying to fill every possible empty space with foliage or whatever in this game, just because it makes things look more finished and more complete. But in real life, empty space exists. But anyway, we have reached the end of the video, so give this video a thumbs up if you like what you see, subscribe if you haven't already, comment down below letting me know what you think of how this is coming out so far, or anything that's come up in the last few episodes. Oh, yeah, I did forget again to talk about the name suggestions that I've received, which has been a few in the last few episodes. My apologies, I haven't forgotten about you. We will get that in a future episode, I promise. And with that said, you all have a great morning, afternoon, evening, night, etc., wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all next time.